People inside the diner heard the biker's laughter before they saw him. It was loud, sharp, and carried the kind of cruelty that makes everyone else lower their eyes and pretend they didn't notice. In the far corner booth sat a 68-year-old veteran, shoulders slightly slumped, breakfast half eaten, eyes fixed on his coffee cup, as if it were the last safe place in the world. The biker leaned in and spat out the words that froze the room. "What's wrong, old man? Lost your courage along with your youth?" No one moved, no one spoke, and then the front door opened, slowly, heavily, followed by the echo of boots that made every head turn. Someone in uniform had walked in, and everything changed. The morning had started like any other for Harold Mason, a man who once carried his entire platoon through storms, desert heat, and gunfire now carried nothing but a worn-out green jacket and the memories he wished he could leave behind. He visited the small diner every Thursday at 900 a.m. because the staff knew to leave him be, and because the quiet hum of early customers gave him a sort of peace he no longer found at home. But peace is fragile, and it shattered the moment the biker gang's loud motorcycles rumbled outside. The leader, massive, tattooed, and radiating arrogance, spotted Harold sitting alone. Maybe it was the veteran's cap that triggered him, or maybe he was simply looking for someone he could feel bigger than. Whatever the reason, he stalked toward Harold with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. People watched but pretended not to. The waitress froze behind the counter. She wanted to help, but the biker was twice her size. Harold didn't look up when the biker stopped beside his booth. He didn't flinch when the man slammed his fist on the table, rattling the utensils. He just breathed slowly, the way he used to when waiting for orders during long, dangerous missions. But the biker's voice clawed at him. So this is what heroes look like now, sitting alone looking pathetic. His laugh filled the diner. Harold swallowed hard. He wasn't afraid, not of this man, not of pain. What haunted him was the familiar feeling of being judged by someone who knew nothing about the scars he carried. He had spent decades trying to blend in, to live quietly without asking for respect or praise. But humiliation had a way of cutting deeper than wounds. When the biker leaned closer, face twisted with mock anger, he growled, "Or what? You gonna fight me, Grandpa?" Harold closed his eyes. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to hurt anyone ever again. But he also felt the sting of helplessness, something he thought he had buried long ago. The diner fell silent. Even the coffee machine seemed to stop its steady dripping. And then, the door opened. The footsteps that followed were steady, confident, and unmistakably disciplined. The kind of footsteps Harold knew by heart. A young woman in a crisp military uniform walked in, and she had seen everything. Lieutenant Sarah Delgado had just come back from deployment the night before. Exhausted and craving a simple breakfast, she walked into the diner expecting nothing more than a warm meal. But her instinct sharpened the moment she saw the biker leaning over an elderly man, his posture predatory, his voice aggressive. Her jaw tightened. She didn't know Harold Mason, but she knew what that cap meant. And she knew what it felt like to watch someone disrespect the uniform, whether it was being worn or merely remembered. She walked straight toward the scene, her boots hitting the floor with deliberate force. The biker turned, annoyance flickering across his face, until he noticed the uniform. His smirk faltered. "Is there a problem here?" Sarah asked, her voice calm but edged with authority. Harold lifted his eyes for the first time. When he saw the young lieutenant, he felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. Pride that the next generation stood where he once did, and sadness that a man in uniform still had to break up civilian fights. The biker scoffed, but there was hesitation now. Just teaching the old man some manners. Sarah's expression didn't change. "With all due respect, it's you who needs them." The room held its breath. She didn't reach for a weapon. She didn't raise her voice. She just stood there, unwavering, the way soldiers do when protecting someone who can't, or shouldn't have to, protect themselves. Her presence alone was enough to shift the atmosphere. The biker felt the weight of the room turning against him. And something else. The weight of his own insecurity. Picking on an elderly man no longer made him feel strong. It made him look small. "You done here?" she asked quietly. The biker clenched his jaw, looked at Harold, then at the uniform again. Shame crept up his neck, but he covered it with a forced laugh and stepped back. "Whatever," he muttered before walking out, pushing the door a little too hard behind him. The diner exhaled in collective relief. Sarah turned to Harold. Sir, are you okay? Harold nodded slowly, emotion tightening his throat. Thank you, Lieutenant. She smiled gently. Thank you for walking the path before we did. The waitress finally found her voice, offering Harold a fresh cup of coffee and waving off the bill for his meal. Others nodded respectfully. For the first time in a long while, Harold didn't feel invisible. He felt seen, he felt remembered, as Sarah sat down across from him and they began to talk. Two generations connected by sacrifice. The entire diner felt the warmth of a moment bigger than all of them, a reminder that respect isn't about age, strength, or intimidation. It's about recognizing the quiet bravery in the people who walked before us, and standing up for them when they no longer can.